Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. We have another episode of the Soccer Family Podcast. I'm making that face because I've never seen somebody lose and wear wear a scarf like this in my life. I don't think M knows the results. Speaking of the devil, M, introduce yourself now, King.
Guys, the one thing that I can take away from today's game is nothing. My side is doo-doo. Doo-doo side. Clear, straight up. We have a doo-doo side.
A doodle
We don't
side.
know how to hold it. This is M, guys. Glory, glory, Man United. Through and through.
No
We
problem.
all bleed red.
Just 3 days ago, you were saying the complete opposite, but it's okay.
Hey, now you're a history teacher?
No problem.
Guys, we're going to run away with it last week.
Yeah, they're clear winners last week. My Liverpool fan, you can tell by the jersey, the hat, so on and so forth. Introduce yourself.
So, Josh, I'm wearing black in mourning of Liverpool's form. So I threw on the black kit tonight. I'm here to take a beating from him from the two matchups that we had over the league and FA Cup. I'm ready and prepared.
There you go. There you go. I think a Liverpool. I'm a Chelsea fan, so a Liverpool bad form is a Chelsea in form. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we'll take it. And the guy to my lower right, Akan, introduce yourself, brother.
What's up, guys? I'm repping Arsenal. Cozy tonight. I got my slippers on. No pressure at all. Martin Odegaard in, up the Arsenal. You know, we're streaking right now, so we're kicking back, we're relaxing, and no pressure at all. So let's go. Let's go, Arsenal.
So
You sound like B. You sound like B and Bazzi and Ryan when they bought Pepe. So
Yeah.
it's
No,
nothing.
those guys almost lost to Southampton 3 times in 2 months, and those guys are hype. I say baselines. Team have baselines. You know what I'm saying?
They're a tricky team. They're a tricky team.
I digress. All right, guys, let's get right into it. You know what I'm saying? My beloved Chelsea, as you can see, just sacked a club legend. Some might say premature. Some might say it was long overdue. So I'm gonna start with the guy that has been calling for this for a long time with the glasses on. Akan, go ahead. What are your thoughts, man? Do you think it was premature? What are your thoughts?
Look, I think that sacking was right on time. You know, Lampard, I don't think any manager really in the Premier League has done less with more than Lampard. Chelsea typically, don't think twice about sacking their manager. They got a ruthless Russian oligarch owner. The less said about him, the better. We know his background, but they don't joke around. So Lampard, probably as big as a club legend that Chelsea has ever had, sacked just like that. So, but I think it was deserved. This football wasn't great. The talent is there. So he was on a short lease. He had to produce, and it didn't look like he was doing that. So I think it was the right decision.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's M. Akan says has done. I think he said has done the least with the most. Something in that regard. Saying that, are the players not to blame for some? Because you have guys that $50 million price tag, 60 million, 70 million, and they're not quite living up to expectations. Do you think should the players hold some accountability, or do you think it was all Lampard?
It was all Lampard. Let's just put that out there in the open. He's the one that bought all these players, right? He's the one that was not using these players wisely. He's the one that did not give them the appropriate game plan going into the game. You can't tell players that are earning millions of dollars that have been playing for millions of years that they need to go out and express. Like, that's the game plan. Their game plan is to go out and express yourselves. We have to give some credit though to Leicester. Those guys have killed so many Chelsea coach managers in the Premier League, having them be the last game that they actually played. But I feel like Lampard wasn't ready. You know what I mean? He's not that quality manager. He doesn't have that CV. We always talk about Ole, but at least Ole.
Wait. Aren't you a United fan? You said CB.
We always talk about Ole, but at least Ole coached a Premier League team. Yes. So Frank Lampard now is just another. Frank Lampard is just another coach that what's his name? That Abramovich went through
7 games at Cardiff.
15.
Guys, please. I thank you, Josh. Oh my God. I
Here's the difference. Here's the difference, though. Here's the difference with Ole and Lampard. He coached 7 games at Cardiff, but currently he is second place. Yes, we lost the game today. But the difference is the place that we're on in the table. So if he has the same, let's call it he has the same CV as Lampard, but the players are playing for him, right? He's gotten so many players that other coaches have not managed to get better. Let's say Luke Shaw or a Paul Pogba. But going back to Frank Lampard, I think the time wasn't enough for him to actually. He didn't get a chance, but it is Lampard's fault. Let's
let me ask you.
Right.
Let me ask you this: you said telling the players to go out and express themselves. You think Lampard was maybe too relaxed in his tactical approach? Because Ole typically looks like a manager that is more hands-off and would be the one to tell the players just go out and express yourself. And he's getting results. So what do you think the difference is in managerial styles between Ole and Lampard?
I think Lampard kind of leaned a little bit on his what do you call it now? On his just the stature of him at the club. So the whole legendary status that he has as being Frank Lampard as a player,
his reputation
kind of translates over into being a manager, but it doesn't. You need a little bit more help, right? Ole, on the other hand, Ole has been there. He's had his slumps. Yes, we can't deny that. But at the same time, he has somehow managed to get himself out of that slump. And I don't think Frank Lampard had the opportunity. Let's just be honest. He didn't have the opportunity to get himself out of a slump. And it's always, how do managers handle themselves when things are not going well? We didn't really get the chance to see that in Lampard. But again, I have to say, it's Frank Lampard's fault. There's a lot of people that are in the soccer family group. KG, B, Ryan, Nahom at one point, but he kind of turned it around. Even Cisse, the Manchester United fan, who says that Frank Lampard needs to be there longer. He has a clear idea of what he was doing at Chelsea over what Ole was doing. So, hey,
the only difference with Ole
and
Lampard is
time told.
Because Lampard, Ole has been on the same trajectory as Lampard was, but they gave him time. They trusted him. Josh, I want to bring you into this. First, I want to get your opinion on the whole thing, right? But then I also want to ask you about Thomas Tuchel, who was sacked by PSG. Now he's the Chelsea manager.
First off, the disrespect.
Ole is at the wheel. Ole is at the wheel.
To Lampard here. You had mentioned that Frank Lampard bought these players. I don't believe Frank Lampard bought these players. I think Marina bought these players, and I think she signed them up for the deals that she did. They've got a bloated squad. They signed 3 new players for that front 3 and expected Lampard to figure the 6 players for that 3 positions out in 20 games. He had a whole different squad that he overachieved with last year.
Logic.
I agree that he's tactically not the most astute manager yet, but Zidane's known for living on stature and just telling his guys to go out there and express themselves. And most managers give you a tactical game plan in the middle third and a defensive third, but let you express yourself in the final third. That's one of the problems Liverpool is having. You've run out of ideas up there.
So you want to compare the players that Frank Lampard has to the players that Zinedine Zidane had?
No, I'm saying that's the way they approach the job, right? I am this legend of a player for this particular club, and Real Madrid's known for just letting their players do their thing, right? Like at Real Madrid, there's really never been a game plan. It's just you're all super awesome, go play great soccer, and that's what they do. And I think Lampard was trying to do a little bit of that. I really think the issue was trying to figure out who his best 11 was. He doesn't know who his best 11 is, and he has all these egos to feed, and not everybody's going to get to eat. So I think he had a tough job. I think he would have, if he was given more time, I think he would have been in a similar position as Ole would be this year. But I don't think he was given enough time. But at the end of the day, Thomas Tuchel is a heck of a manager who is going to play a completely different style of football. You're going to see some high pressing. You're going to see some more sort of Jurgen Klopp rock and roll style football from Thomas Tuchel. And it's going to be entertaining with all those talents up front.
And one of those things that I realized with the lineup that actually not even started today, but just in general, based on the players that Frank Lampard bought, I realized that a lot of those players, it feels like everything was getting set up for Tuchel. So he coached at Dortmund for a while. I think he was in Germany for his last 2 teams before he went to PSG. And looking back at it, looking at the team now for Chelsea, like almost all of you have Rudiger, you have Pulisic, you have Timo, like all those players either came from Germany or now we have Thiago, who is now from PSG. So if Tuchel, if he don't handle this situation where all those players give him all the hype and all the credibility and all the credit, then I don't know. This might be the last stop for Tuchel.
Khan, this is a good segue to what I wanted to talk about. Lampard, if we're being honest, it was a big task, right? I think with what Chelsea was dealing with last year in terms of the ban, it was hard to sell a manager on a job that was, hey, we lost your best player and a few others. You can't buy any players. Good luck. So Lampard didn't have the CV for other big jobs, so it's easy to bring him in. Do you think the plan was this whole time for Lampard just to manage that season and see what happens, and then replace him with a more tenured manager? Especially with the point that M brings of when you see these players, they have history with Thomas Tuchel. So I'm not saying necessarily they knew it was going to be Thomas Tuchel, but maybe this was the plan all along, just waiting for Lampard to slip up. What do you think about that?
Absolutely not. I think Chelsea are historically too well run a club to plan anything that ridiculous. I think if Thomas Tuchel is at the top of your managerial list, I think you've got problems. He's a good manager, but he's not a manager that you mortgage entire seasons to wait for, especially when you've got guys like Allegri, Pochettino was available. There's other managers out there that could have that you could have brought in, and also you don't know who else could have become available in those couple of years while you had Lampard. So no, I don't think Tuchel. I don't think Chelsea would have been waiting for Tuchel, and I don't think Chelsea will be placing all their hopes in Tuchel. I think he signed a 1.5-year deal,
18 months,
18-month deal. I don't think Chelsea are sold on Tuchel either, and I think they're right.
I'll tell you a lot about that.
I don't think he's that great of a manager.
I think that goes to the fact that they had so many. If you count the payouts that Chelsea have had to pay in managers because they give them such long contracts, I'm pretty sure that 18-month contract is because of that. Antonio Conte just went to court with Chelsea for the rest of his monies because they let him go prematurely.
Chelsea got deep pockets.
They do. But at the end of the day, it's still a business, so you can't just be losing money, right? So moving forward, I'll start with Josh. Manchester United, the great old club that hasn't seen a title since M been a fan. Right? What are your thoughts? They lost to a team with 5 points in the league so far in Sheffield United. Are they title contenders, or is the old United kind of sneaking in there? What are your thoughts? But then I also want to say they had an FA Cup win at Liverpool, I believe, this past weekend. So you could take one or the other.
So first off, welcome to the pain of losing to a bottom 3 team. I see ya. Welcome to the pain. I still think they're the same club that I thought they were before. I think they have issues. I think they have problems. I think they're talented. I still am not sold on Ole. Regardless of the results that happened with Liverpool, I think he parked it against us at Anfield in the league, and that was the worst game I've watched all season. It was miserable. We didn't have any ideas, and you guys didn't even try.
It's not our fault that you can't attack. It's not our fault. You're the one that kept possession of the ball. This is how soccer works, though. There are 2 teams. One team has the ball, and the other team defends. You so happen to pick 9 midfield players on your team. So yes, the chances of you keeping possession of the football is going to be higher. That's fine. You can keep the ball. We have
9 midfielders because we don't have any center backs.
Right, and we tried to exploit that by playing the ball over the top. Right, when we were playing, you guys were playing a high line. We were trying to catch you guys off guard. Rashford had a bad game. It is what it is. It's a bit unfortunate, but I felt like we held our own in that game. But it's not my
game. It was miserable to watch. Miserable. The FA Cup game where you guys actually were brave and tried to attack was much more entertaining.
We attacked you and we beat you in that game.
Yeah, yes you did. And it was more fun to watch. I'll take that game over that point in the league every time.
So,
We're-
Josh, which identity would you say is Manchester United? Sheffield or the game against Liverpool?
I
Which
think their
one is the
identity
more
is the
likely?
draw against Liverpool. I think their identity is to sit deep and try to hit on the counter. It just didn't come off. When Rashford took it wide, when he got pushed wide on that one opportunity where he could have slid Fernandez, I think it was, who was making a diagonal across the front of him. I think he could have slid him in there, but he decided to take it wide and he got pushed off the ball by Henderson, I think, or Fabinho. Fernandez missed an easy opportunity, Pog, but you had the two best chances of that 0-0 game. Pogba hit it hard, but hit it right at Allison. I still think, judging on form and history and class of both manager and players, I think City's going to be tough to chase down. They're pulling up with the game in hand on United now. They've won 18 of their last 18 points. They're putting crooked numbers on the board when they couldn't score in the beginning of the season. I think they're going to be tough, and I think the rest of us might be battling for top four.
Khan, I want to take it to you. One thing that's consistent amongst title winners is a striker, right? A striker scoring a lot of goals. We'll say the magic number is 18 to 20. Right now, as I look at the top scorers, their midfielder is the top scorer, and Bruno Fernandes, most of which are PKs, right? Let's be honest here. Do you think that's the missing piece, and should Manchester United look for a striker in this window before it closes? Or do you think this team is good enough to win the league? Because we have to be honest, they're not that far off. Being that they're in points wise, they're right there currently.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a striker is absolutely what they're missing. Martial is not the guy. Cavani is good. He's okay. He being okay number 2, but they're missing. There's a big hole in that number 9 spot. A guy that would be perfect, for United, Romelu Lukaku at Inter Milan. I think he would be.
You mean the donkey?
If they had a player like Lukaku to come in and link the play, provide size, skill, mobility, technique, and guile. That's what they're missing. A true number 9 that can link the play. They would run away with the title, I think, because they've got Bruno Fernandes. The midfield of McTominay, Fred is very solid. Pogba's a wild card.
Who? McTominay.
You heard me correctly.
Okay.
Fantastic player.
Now, what's your problem with McSauce? What's your problem? You got a problem with McSauce?
McSauce has like 15 EPO appearances. Like nothing's going on, dude.
So what does that mean?
We can't start naming him as an asset.
You have to start somewhere.
He absolutely is. He's a stalwart.
I'm kidding. I think
he's a great player.
He's a
fantastic player.
I wouldn't say fantastic. That's pushing it. He's quality.
He's great.
Something tells me he dips his nuggets in mayonnaise. You know that?
I'm sure he does.
Guys from Wales.
The guy can play midfield, and you look at the spot in their team. Maguire, good as well. Bailly, they have players there. De Gea's questionable, but he's got the resume there. They're not far off, but there's a big hole up top in that number 9 position. So if they bring Lukaku back, you brought Pogba back already. If you go get Lukaku, nobody will hold it against you guys. But they're definitely missing something up top.
Em, I want to segue to you. I saved you last for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Because I know you're very prideful of your club as you drink Jameson. You know what I'm saying? But Em, do you agree with the con that you guys do need a striker in this window in order to take the league? This is probably the closest you guys have been to winning the league since Fergie was there, right? So is it worth the investment right now to go get a striker? What do you think is that missing piece? Because I think we can all agree there is slightly a missing piece to winning the league.
Right. So you are right. There is a missing piece, and I feel like the missing piece is getting rid of Tony. I don't care what we need to do. We don't even have to get anybody. Just get Tony out of that 11 to 18. Like, do what we need to do to get rid of that guy. I felt like in that particular.
By Tony, you mean Anthony Martial, correct? For the
yes, Tony Martial. That's what we call him in England.
Okay, no problem.
So, we lost the game when Greenwood came out and Tony Marshall went to the left side. Once he went to the left side, defensively he was terrible. He always gives me anxiety when he has the ball. I don't feel comfortable when he's on the ball. So yes, I've always been an advocate of Tony Marshall is not as there's many, but as we're talking about strikers, he is not one of the players that he's not a Manchester United player. You know what I'm saying? Edison Cavani is a Manchester United player. Even Lukaku is a Man U player. Rooney is a Man U player. Like those are the players when you're talking about number nines. Those are the players that you keep in mind. So I don't think he's it. Yeah, Ruud van Nistelrooy, like all those guys. Bruno Fernandes, we need to keep that guy. When it comes to bad form, he's allowed to have bad form. First of all, he's been playing every single game. He probably missed one game and came on in the 30 minutes of every game, at least 30 minutes. So he's entitled to having a bad game. I've always said that, or bad games need to be better. That's the only thing. That's the only problem that I have with my team right now.
I've never seen when a team is in bad form, right? What United was in December of last year, right? When they were like hovering around 7th and 8th, and they buy one player. I've never seen one player change a team's mentality and attitude. Because football is I would say 90% of football is confidence, right? When your team is doing bad, they're low on confidence. They continue to lose games and make silly mistakes. Bruno Fernandes, when I saw Manchester United against Liverpool at the FA Cup, even though it was the FA Cup game, that's when I was like, this team it's not a fluke. You know what I'm saying? Like, because how you playing those games are against those guys, against the cities of the world, against the Liverpools of the world, while taking care of business. And if you ask me why where that mentality came from, I have to say Bruno Fernandes.
He does have a contagious kind of personality. We have to confess, but this past week I've gone through the most extreme of emotions that anybody can go through in football in 7 days. I drawed against Liverpool. I beat Liverpool, and then I lost to I don't even know their name. Sheffield.
Welcome to the club, my friend.
So, like I don't know what when you ask the question of which United like what United team is there are actually literally 3 teams. There's one team that will sit back and defend. There's one team that will play offensive, and then there's the other team that will make mental mistakes and make you hate them for 24 hours. So that's just the team that I have right now. But it's better to have that as opposed to having a Chelsea that's lost 5 and 8, or a Liverpool that's having trouble scoring in the league, or an Arsenal that's been an Arsenal. You know what I mean? So I feel like we're still in the runnings. I don't think we need to get a player in January, but let's see what happens. You know.
You're not getting a player in January. You're not getting a striker.
COVID,
you're not getting a striker. It's too late in the window. And I'd like to make a bold statement here. Watching Bruno play for Man United is what it felt like watching Suarez play for Liverpool. The bite in his game transfers to the other players and adds a dynamic to the team that you need. You almost need an asshole on your squad. Right now, Liverpool's is Andy Robertson. Bruno Fernandes is that guy for you, and he can deliver. The free kick in the FA Cup was just what a strike, and what at a prime time moment too. He's a special player, and as a Liverpool fan, man, he would have been the perfect Firmino replacement. Drop him in that false nine, it would have just been wonderful. But
you guys already dropping Firmino, so that takes us over to the next segment of our conversation, right? Liverpool Spurs this weekend, big match, right? There's a lot of big matches coming up. That being one of the biggest. Liverpool. So I have this thing where I think yes, Firmino's playing bad, but I want to ask you first. I want to hear your thoughts around the struggle and why I know you guys are lacking center backs, but you're also lacking the scoring ability, and that might have a role into that. But what I want to ask you is with Thiago Alcantara in the middle of the pitch, is that having a negative impact on rock and roll football? Because you guys are usually Hendo, which I'm a big fan of, plays that long ball to Mane or Salah, and they're just one-on-one. They usually win that ball, that first ball. Now that doesn't really happen because Thiago likes the short 5-10 yard passes, and Hendo is pulled from the midfield. So that's just kind of like my football brain kind of trying to rationalize why there's a lack in the attack. So, A, do you agree with that? And B, what do you think is that reason why you guys can't score? Defending, we know why.
Yeah, so like to address the diagonals, I think a lot of those stemmed from Van Dijk to Salah, Gomez to Mane. I think with our starting center backs out, we don't see that quite so often. And the midfielders are being expected to play that ball, so that means that pushes the defense back a little deeper when that ball's played. So there's not so much space to run in behind when the ball's initially played. With it coming from the midfielders instead of the center backs. I think our problems offensively stem from we're just stale, right? We've been together for 4 years. And like I mentioned earlier, we have defensive structure in the middle third, defensive structure in the defensive third. But in the offensive third, it's kind of like, hey, man, go be good soccer players. And, just be where you do what you do and be who you are. And I think it's gotten a little stale. Without the injection of Diego Jota sitting on the sideline who brings something different into the squad. I'd see a lot of Firmino, a lot of Salah receiving the ball in between the lines in the offensive third and making a negative pass, not looking to turn their guy, not looking to attack that space that you've created for yourself by getting the ball in between the lines. Because Thiago is great at playing that ball. He'll slide that ball and beat 4 players with a single ground pass through the middle. And we're playing that pass backwards again to reset and recycle, or we get it on the half turn and switch field so we can donk an early crossing again. The Manchester United game was the epitome of our lack of ideas. We played it to Trent. Trent hit a cross into the center, and nobody won it because we've got all 5'9", strikers. That's not what we're built to do. Just think that Trent needs to attack the byline more. He doesn't do enough of that. Robertson will attack the byline on the opposite side some. Trent doesn't attack the byline. We need to give them something different to look at, a couple different angles instead of the same cross from 25 to 30 yards deep. And I'd like to see our strikers turn. Mane will turn somebody occasionally and have a go at him, but Firmino and Salah really aren't doing that. I think we changed that up by formation change. I know Klopp's not a big guy on changing formation. I tried to push a different formation out into the water against Man U when I was on last time. I think we need to do that again. I think a 4-2-4 would suit us. Bringing in Shaqiri and Minamino and having them play those wide positions in that front four and pitching in if they need to support the midfield of Thiago or Gini or Hendo or Naby or whoever. All guys that are comfortable playing in that 2-man midfield. Don't like it this weekend against Tottenham because Ndombele is running stuff right now. But I think in the future, I think we would be, it would be something to look at to change something up.
That was a great tactical breakdown from Josh. Yeah. I want to come over to you in terms of Liverpool. If this form continues, the one thing about success is your patience when success doesn't come is thin, right? Klopp is a legend at Liverpool. He said stale. Jose used to have a 3.5 period, and then it gets stale, and then Jose acts like Jose, and he gets sacked. Do you think if this form continues, Klopp could potentially be a guy who I think Klopp would probably voluntarily leave before he's sacked?
No.
But is that ridiculous to think that Klopp could possibly
No. So here's the thing. I'm not even going to entertain that question. Okay. Klopp is not Lampard.
There's a few fans, Liverpool fans, that are calling.
And that's fine. That's fine. There's always, look at you. You in the game today, you were saying Tuchel out. KG was saying Tuchel. Like the guy came.
That was banter.
Right.
And stop calling KG out, man.
There's always that 1%. There's always going to be that 1%. Klopp is not going anywhere. The guy is fine. There's nothing going on with him because he has done so much for the club. He's a legend. Right now, he's on Alex Ferguson status. So he will
walk away. Do you think he'll walk away if this continues?
No, because it's not going to continue. They have the likes of Mane. Salah scored 19 goals this season. So you guys are acting like, oh yeah, let's worry about Liverpool. Liverpool is fine. I believe that they're having this. Well, first of all, you guys shouldn't have scored 7 against Crystal Palace. So you should have been able to manage your goal scoring better. But with Thiago in that midfield, having Thiago in that midfield, what I realized first, in the last pod, I said that not having Van Dijk is a big deal because now Trent and Robertson have to actually decide to play defense now, which they're getting tried all the time. But at the same time, going forward, they had Fabinho and Henderson, I think, in the middle. and they were simple players. Like all they did, they take the ball, they turn, they play the ball in the space to Salah Mane for that one-on-one encounter with the defenders on the outside. But now Thiago is not that kind of player. Thiago is a little bit more of a flair type player where he would get by one man if need be, and then he would make that like you were saying, that horizontal pass. Um, but going side to side, I don't think it's going to work for Liverpool. I believe that Klopp is gonna get out of his funk. Like it's gonna be fine, you know. He did mention that they were progressing when they lost against Man U. I'm not sure what that means. Congrats for scoring 2 goals. But you guys tied in the midweek, and then you guys ended up losing to us. And whatever he sees, he thought that he learned a lesson going into the Tottenham game. So it's gonna be interesting to see what he actually learns. Because for us, Manchester United has been known to be the defensive team that plays counter-attacking football.
Known
Now,
to be. That's what you are, my friend.
okay, that's what we are.
Yes. Yeah.
Now Liverpool,
Attack,
we don't
attack,
know what
attack.
Liverpool is. I don't know what Liverpool. I don't know if Liverpool is a defensive team playing on the counter. I don't know if Liverpool is playing the ball wide like they normally do to get those one-on-one matchups. I don't know if they're playing possession like Man City. So we have no idea what they are. And you made a good point there, Josh, when you said that they've been there too long. Like there's no competition. There's nobody to push them. You know what I mean? So they need to make some kind of change. I just don't think Klopp is it.
Khan, I want to bring you into this conversation, somewhat about Liverpool, but also about Tottenham, right? But the question I have about Liverpool is, do you think they need to break up that top three in terms of Salah, Mane, and Firmino? One of them go. And then my other question is in terms of Tottenham, but I'll get to that once you answer the question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Josh hit on it, M hit on it. The Liverpool squad is stale. You can talk formation changes. I think what they need to do is a major personnel change. You can't have the same front three and expect success year after year after year after year.
5 years.
Yeah, how long can you expect to go back to the well, right? The Lakers won the title last year. This year they
Here comes
brought in
Orion.
players. Dennis
The Ryan.
Schroeder. They reloaded. They kept the squad fresh. They got new players around LeBron. So if Liverpool expect to keep having success, they're gonna have to build around their core. And I think the way to do that is probably getting rid of either Salah or Firmino. I've seen Mbappe being batted around. You bring in a player like that, Mbappe, Mane, and maybe new number 9. I think that will take them to new levels. But right now I think they're nearing the end of their cycle with that current front three.
No, I definitely agree. Mane is a one of one, so I would agree with that. Firmino and Salah, one of them need to go. You probably have more buyers for Salah than you would Firmino, because Firmino is the type of player that only fits in a few. He's a system kind of player, so it'd be tough to get him at any club. So my question, I know even though you're wearing an Arsenal kit, you're fond of Jose Mourinho. Your neighbor, your North London neighbors, Tottenham. They again up and down. They seem to be kind of finding their balance. And one player specifically who's last year, or rather this is his first year, but in the beginning of the year he was heavy on the bench, and now he's starting to find his feet. Ndombele, he seems to be that light that Tottenham was missing. So what are your thoughts on Tottenham? And you think they're headed towards the right direction? What's your take?
Look, they got a good squad over there. Pochettino had that same squad. You saw, he couldn't do much with it. So I think that speaks to the quality of a coach that Jose Mourinho is, that he could come in and turn a squad like that and have them, challenging for the title. And Ndombele was a player that Mourinho was not fond of. He came in, he told him to work harder, but he gave him a chance, and now, he's thriving. So, good coaches can do that. They can bring the best out of a player that, a lot of people have written off. People were calling him a bust already. But, Mourinho stuck with him, and now he's starting to bear fruit. So, I think Jose gets a bad rap, for his methods. But I think, if you look at the man's resume and you look at his ability to continuously get results with different clubs in different countries and different sets of players, that's a guy that knows how to manage egos, manage talent, and implement systems that can get results. So I think Tottenham will get close this year, but maybe next year if they can bring in the right players, they will get even closer. But they're right there, and I think this year might just be a little bit, maybe a year early for them, but next year, they'll be right in the same position for challenging for the title.
Yeah, I think with Jose, he likes discipline in the midfield, and Ndombele is a guy that likes to experiment, right? He's gonna try to make that pass that has like a 40% chance of getting there, and so when he loses that ball, it's a counterattack directly, and Jose don't like that. Jose likes to save guys in the midfield. So I'm glad he's experimenting. I think he's a world-class talent in Ndombele.
When you have players like
when you
have
disagree on something, go ahead, let it out.
no, I'm just saying you're saying that he likes discipline, but in Ndombele, a big baller. Like he's the guy's, like you said, more willing to experiment. But when you have a player like Højbjerg behind you, that animal that you have behind you there, like you have more freedom to express yourself. You know what I'm saying? So
great point.
that was a good buy by Jose, and I think he's
he
one
wasn't
of those
there. You made that point, and he wasn't there when Ndombele was struggling. Now that he's there, Ndombele is striving. So maybe Jose can do that balance. Do you agree with that?
I can't. It's like you hit the nail on the head with making those players feel a little bit comfortable and pushing them. It reminds me of Ole and Luke Shaw. Like Luke Shaw wasn't at his best, but he's starting to get a little bit better now.
Luke Shaw verbatim said, "I'm not fat, I'm big bone like Rooney." After he made that statement, I was like, "This guy's not mentally all there." The guy said, "I'm big bone. Yeah, I'm just thick."
Luke Shaw is the mind of a goalkeeper.
Great against
the guy
us.
said, "I'm just a little thick." That's it.
He was great again. He was scary going forward. He wasn't so good defensively, but he was scary going forward.
Yeah, he was very effective.
He's not scared to take the space, which I appreciate about
Shaw. He'll progress the ball, which is good. Yeah.
And he's deceivingly fast.
This weekend,
going forward, deceivingly fast.
I can't. This weekend, if Luke Shaw starts against you guys, you will get 0 points. I'm just putting that in the ether.
Look, I rate Luke Shaw. I think he's a top player for me.
Yeah,
well, you gotta tell that to Bazzi.
Yeah, I can't wait for that Pepe Luke Shaw matchup. It'll be the meme competition of the year.
It's gonna be two teams that are sitting back.
Ball's just gonna sit in the center circle. They're both gonna stay.
One team is like go, the other team's gonna be like you go. No, you go.
We will take a knee for 90 minutes.
Basically.
Moving on. Manchester City. So 7 in a row. I think Josh gave us a stat. Since Boxing Day, 18 out of 18 points. It's starting to like the old City, and they don't even have a striker. And rumors are Diego Costa could be a possibility with that. I think Diego Costa might headbutt Pep. But Josh, I wanted to ask you, Kevin De Bruyne is going to be out for a little while. Do you think City can make a proper run without KDB and without a striker?
Absolutely. They when they scored 100 points 2 years ago, KDB was out for a period of time.
But they had Kuhn.
And they still just put up. They just put up 5. They just put up 4 the game before that. I mean, it's not like the rest of their squad is like,
he just lost to Sheffield. You can't say
so that's the bar now. So the bar is now Man City and Man U. Now we're on the same level. Anybody. It's okay. I'll take it. I will take it. Go
ahead, Josh. This goat.
No, I think Man City is the team to catch right now. I know Man U had a good week and a half. And before them it was Liverpool who had a good week and a half, and Tottenham had a good week and a half, and Arsenal has really had a good month. And they're striving back to get into the European spots, maybe. But I think City's going to be the team to chase down, and I think it's going to be a tough get.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Akan, I want to ask you the same question. Do you think City needs to buy a striker? Because Jesus keeps on catching COVID, and Kuhn keeps on being Kuhn. You know what I'm saying? So, what are your thoughts on that?
It'd be nice. I mean, but City are a team that they play a style where they get goals from wide positions. So they've got Raheem Sterling. That guy's as good as any 50, 60 million pound striker that you can buy. Maybe now that De Bruyne is out of the way, they can start playing through their actual best player, Raheem Sterling. So, and they've got Gundogan in midfield, who's world class if he can stay healthy. Riyad Mahrez is there, who's been hit or miss, but we know the quality that he has. There's goals in a lot of players from wide position, and if Jesus ever gets healthy, he's an added bonus as well. But City as a squad, they won't have any problems scoring goals. There's too much quality there, so they'll figure it out.
No,
M.
they will
Oh,
have.
M.
Sorry.
Who would you put as favorites? You're a Manchester United fan, but I want you to put on your football goggles right now. Take your Manchester United goggles off. You know what I'm saying? Who, if you had to put Marvin on the line, your roommate, who would you say has a better chance of winning the title, Manchester United or Manchester City? Think with your brain. Marvin's on the line here.
I feel like you're pressuring me for this answer now.
Marvin's on
Okay.
the line. Just FYI.
Manchester City is very scary. They're the only teams right now that scare me as a fan, as a Manchester United fan. So I will have to be honest and say that Manchester United is still going to win the league and Man City is going to come a close second. No, I feel like Man City is going to win. I feel like Man City is going to win. This is just me being hopeful for the Manchester United run that we're on. But slow on the inside, when I heard that KDB, I don't think I watched that game, but when KDB got hurt, those guys are gonna, in total this season, I think he has 15 assists. So when Akan is saying that they're gonna figure it out, like 15 assists is not easy to just pick up and get. Like Gundogan, he's picking up the slack with all the goals that's being scored. But where are the assists gonna be coming from? City has so many. The talent pool is so big that it doesn't matter. Like that's how these guys score goals now. They have Raheem Sterling with 9. There's Raheem Sterling, Phil Foden, and Gundogan. Those guys are on 9. Then you have Torres, Mars, and Jesus. Like those guys are on like 7. So all these goals are coming from everywhere. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really terrified. My only silver line or my saving grace or the only thing that I can hold on to now is the fact that KDB got injured. So hopefully they will slip at some point, but I feel like City's gonna take it.
M's always a guy that loves statistics, so I'm not surprised. The guy said he has 7.
What I do.
He has 8.
That's what I do.
So speaking of hot and in form in the league, because they got knocked out in the 4th round of the FA Cup. They should call the FA Cup Arsenal Cup because they have the most FA Cups. I want to start, Josh. Arsenal. Arsenal is a club that's getting it together in the league. They have the next 5 games, I believe, are very difficult for them. But do you think they have turned a chapter? And what do you think the goal should be for Arsenal? Realistically, not with Arsenal brains, because they're gonna say win the league.
For me,
Josh.
Okay.
I definitely like Arsenal. I liked Arsenal through their bad spell. We give Ryan and give Akan and give all these guys stick about the actual status of the club and how they've crawled their way back up from 14th. I liked Arteta in the beginning of the season. I liked what I saw from him. He had a little blip there where it kind of got out of control. But they're putting together. They've scored in that last run since Boxing Day. They've got 14 goals for and 2 against, and over 6 games. Man, that's a solid run, and you can build on that. And that's something positive to have going into the tougher schedule. They're only 6 points behind 4th place. So I mean, they should be looking for challenging for top 4 as season goals. Just like, I mean, there are probably 8 teams that probably should be thinking about challenging for top 4 right now. So I think it's going to be a battle, and I'm going to like a lot of these matchups because we're going to, as fans and sort of neutrals, we're going to see the neutral matchups are going to be more important because there's going to be just points being dropped everywhere, and it's going to be tough to keep track of. And yeah, I can't wait. I think Arsenal's got a shot. I like their squad.
Akan, I want to bring you into this because you're an Arsenal fan, but you're also a logical fan. Akan might throw banter out there, but the guy is the most logical fan out of the Arsenal fans. So, Akan, what do you think should be the goal for Arsenal this year? What would you consider a success? Would it be top four? Would it be making it to the Europa League final? What do you define as success? And then also, what do you think about the new signing Odegaard that you guys just got from a loan from for Real Madrid? You know, Arsenal love a loan now. Love a loan.
That's what they live on, man. That's their bread and butter.
Look, I think, with the current squad and the current manager that we have, you have to be realistic. For us, success would be maybe fifth, sixth place, maybe seventh place.
Tread carefully now, Akan. Okay.
I'm not a fan of Arteta. I think, we've had a little purple patch here, which is great. But the guy doesn't consistently pick good lineups. He's all over the place sometimes in the media with his interviews. You can tell that the players aren't really behind him out there. So the club is a little bit disheveled right now. But there is talent there. Thomas Partey is there. Nicolas Pepe is there. Aubameyang. There's Saka. There's players that are there. So I think the talent in the squad is sort of overshadowing Arteta's naivety at times. So I'm not optimistic about Arteta and his reign. But if we could pull out fifth, sixth, seventh place, that'd be a success. To be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a lot of defined teams. I look at Leicester City today against Everton. They look like you would think normally it would be like a close game. Leicester should have probably won that game 3-4. They just look like a quality team that knows what they're doing on the pitch. So I think top four is a push. Not even for Arsenal, I think for Chelsea. Would you agree with the Khan's points in regards to Arteta, or do you think Arteta is the manager for Arsenal moving forward?
Yeah,
whatever their goals may be.
Well, nobody wants to coach Arsenal, so that's the first thing. So Arteta really has no choice but to just be there, do the best that he can with what he's got.
Look, that is absolutely not the case. I mean, look, Arsenal would have had no problems attracting managers. Jose Mourinho was working at Sky Sports, begging for a job. We could have had Mourinho,
But you chose Arteta.
We chose Arteta, and
okay,
that was our decision. That's how my club is run. But
well, you can't dictate Jose. Would have called Arteta.
So
we made this choice.
Right. So and now you have to live with it. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Who knows what happens if Jose was in charge of Arsenal? Who knows if Odegaard?
Well, we know one thing: B will commit suicide.
But yeah, that is
true. Better off.
Jose.
Better off now than we are.
All right. So I think that for Arsenal, there's so much going on.
What's a realistic goal, Em?
A realistic goal for Arsenal is to be in top 10. Like, don't even think about Europe. Like, there's nothing going on right now. Just try to stay on the top half of the table. They did get revenge against Southampton. That defeat that they had in the FA Cup. I know how Arsenal loved the FA Cup, and they would much rather to get a win in the FA Cup as opposed to a win in the Premier League.
Told you that.
Right. But you guys did get a revenge for that FA Cup defeat. The 3 goals that you guys scored, it's not that big of a deal. I think Saka had a good goal, which I don't know what the goalkeeper was thinking. Pepe finally got a chance to silence his critics. But for me, Pepe is still one of those. Pepe to me is just one of those players that he got all the hype. I think it's based on the fact that Arsenal fans gave him a lot of hype, aka Bazzi. Just say Bazzi again, because every time you guys get a new player, it's always this guy is the second coming. You guys did it with Ozil, you guys did it with Pepe, you guys probably did it with William, and now you guys are doing it with Odegaard. So the light that you guys are shining on the incoming players is kind of like, to use something that Ryan would say, it's kind of like a player that for the Washington football team, when they buy players, somehow their quality just like it just erodes and just turns into something.
You didn't have to say you didn't have to say my beloved watch the football.
So
But
I'm just saying that. Well, I think Odegaard is a good. I think Odegaard is a good purchase. I'm sorry, not purchase. You guys don't do that. I think Odegaard is a good loan. He's definitely going to help you guys out because Lacazette and Aubameyang, and Saka even, one thing that they're struggling is getting that player like Bruno, somebody that can get the ball behind the line, in between those lines. So if Odegaard is able to do that, he's going to pick up Ozil's number 10 allegedly. Another player that I'm also interested to see is the growth and development of Smith Rowe. I think he's a really good, he's a really good player.
What a player!
If you guys start him this weekend, I might not watch it just so I can keep my sanity.
He ain't that special, bro. He's
a good player. He's a good player.
He's definitely a good player. They said the second coming of De Bruyne. That's what they call the guy, right? De Bruyne.
Oh God, here we go.
He reminds me of Lampard.
Pardon?
He reminds me of Lampard the way he plays. Strong, robust.
Box to box?
Yeah, box to box. Just will find himself out wide. I just like to make a point here. Just sort of an observation.
Yeah.
From the traditional gameplay of each of your team, we have a Manchester United fan whose team sits back and hits on the counter. We have an Arsenal fan who wants to bring in Jose Mourinho to coach his team, which is known for beautiful possession ball. And we have a Chelsea fan who just hired Thomas Tuchel, who's going to high press instead of sit deep and hit on the counter. The whole world is upside down now with the traditional play of Arsenal.
Insane. Absolutely.
And we have a Liverpool fan who has no identity and doesn't know how to put the ball in the back of his neck. So, a healthy talent.
Oh no, you have a Liverpool fan who is still the Premier League champions. And still Premier League champion.
I can't. Me and Akana not in this. This is rich man conversations. We're down.
Yeah, this is the first and second conversation.
What's for lunch, bro? I don't know. Bologna. That's a rich man conversation. All right, we're gonna leave the Premier League. That was a great segment just on the Premier League. So we had the Milan Derby, aka Donkey Cup. You know, aka there's a new king in Milan. Aka there's a god in Milan, Zlatan. I want to start with I'll start with Akan. Akan, what were your thoughts on the match? We had a Zlatan goal, a Zlatan red card, a headbutting competition, and then Inter Milan win. So what were your thoughts, and what did you make of the whole Lukaku and Zlatan beef?
Look, I only saw the important parts of that match, which were the fight, right? The penalties. I didn't see any of the match. I saw that Lukaku and the good guys came out on top, got the win. I saw Lukaku had to be restrained going into the tunnel. I saw him using all types of foul language, verbals, aimed at Zlatan. And I think Lukaku did his talking literally on the pitch and with his football. So you love to see that. Zlatan, as entertaining as he is, as great a player as he is, he overdoes it sometimes. And I think it was good to see Lukaku, who does get a bad rap for his technique unfairly, right? Even Zlatan calling him a donkey and taking in his first touch, which is ridiculous. I mean, Lukaku's a world-class player, world-class technique.
World-class players can have a donkey touch too. What are you talking about? Making it sound like they can have a bad touch.
Lukaku has a good touch. He will just occasionally take a bad touch or a touch.
There's a difference.
Hey, let me tell you something, Akan.
There's a difference. There's a difference.
Akan.
If you watch the guy for 90 minutes, you don't get to the levels that he's at internationally and club wise without having a good first touch, right? It doesn't make any sense. He's just
but top class players have consistent great first touch.
We live in the social media era, so anytime Lukaku takes a bad touch, it's on Twitter, it's on Facebook. We're seeing the memes. I saw a picture of Lukaku in Timberlands.
Hey, if we were living in the 40s. And in Jamaica,
the guy has quality. He has technique.
Back in Jamaica, we had two channels, right? And those two channels were the only option that you had. You could either watch the top 6 teams, okay, And I didn't have social media back then when I was 4. Okay? If I use my eyes as a 4-year-old and I see Lukaku's touch, I can tell you as a 4-year-old without having social media, without having any kind of influence, that Lukaku's touch is bad. So Lukaku and Zlatan, they had a history. So you guys
Hold
know.
on, Em.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem.
No, no,
People
no,
are
no.
watching
Hold on.
games
No,
I
like
want to
a
read the
4-year-old.
transcript of what was said.
You don't need to know football.
Can I quickly read the transcript of what was said?
Please.
Ibra, you are a donkey. Lukaku says, let's go inside, you B. We're going to see. And then Ibra says, call your mother and do your voodoo shit. Hold on, there is more. F you and your wife, you little B. And then in the tunnel, Lukaku says, you want to speak about my mother, you son of a B. I'll shoot you in your head.
Now, home. Let me tell you something. Lukaku is carrying feelings because Zlatan, when they were at Manchester United, Zlatan placed a bet. I don't know if you guys know this, but Zlatan placed a bet and told Lukaku that for every good first touch he makes, Zlatan is going to give him £50. And Lukaku said, what happens if I get all of that? Like, what happens if I get all the first touch clean? Zlatan said, nothing. You're just going to be a better football player. So Lukaku's been carrying feelings since that happened. You know what I mean? So now that they actually get they go head to head, it's not an actual league game where I think AC Milan is up 43. What's the score? I think 43-42 or something like that. So it is a pretty close race. You know what I mean? And they're going neck and neck. So it was one of these things where those guys could actually vent their frustrations. Zlatan, I feel like he was playing mind games with Lukaku, and he kind of ended up losing on the tail end of it because he got a red card in the 58th minute. And that actually put it over the edge. But it's weird how nobody has been talking about the game itself. Like, all we are talking about right now is Zlatan versus Lukaku. It's like a UFC showdown.
So let me tell you where the voodoo thing comes. When he was young, Everton wanted him, and Chelsea wanted him, and he chose Chelsea even though Everton was going to give him more money. And his reasoning for that was he was in Africa, and some voodoo lady told him that he should go to Chelsea. So Zlatan must have had this on his brain for the longest time, to say that. Josh, I kind of want to get into the game because it was a Copa quarterfinal, I think, a Copa d'Italia quarterfinal.
Yeah.
AC Milan was dominating the match. And then the Zlatan red card, which I thought was kind of soft, chasing a player down and just, tangling foot. How good is Zlatan that at 41 years old, what is he, like 42, 41, that he can have such an impact? Because, hey, he scored an open play. I believe that was the only, it was the second open play goal in that game. There's a free kick and a penalty. So, what is it about Zlatan? How does he continuously just do it? And what are your thoughts on the match as well, if you watched?
Beautiful first touch for that goal, right? Took him a little bit out wide so he could get the shot off, created space. The juxtaposition between, and I'm in M's side here about Lukaku's first touch. The juxtaposition between Zlatan's first touch and Lukaku's first touch is just two different sides of the spectrum there. Because Zlatan is silky.
God, you're so rude.
That guy looks tight.
I think this game is great. I think this game is great for the Serie A. I think the Serie A needs this. I think they need different branding other than Juventus. I think they need the fight. I think they need the rivalry. I think they need all of that that's going on inside of this game. Just with these two teams playing for something that actually means something. They haven't done that in a long time. And, so I think Serie A is really going to benefit from this. And I think actually Zlatan probably knows that in his playing up like a WWE star, playing up to the crowd to get it hype a little bit. Maybe went a little too far, the silly tackle. But I'm glad somebody's challenging Juventus for the title, so good on them. Bring us something different.
And to Josh's point,
I can't. Ramsey is the weak link in Juventus, man. I think since Ramsey been there, it's just went downhill. I don't know why.
Khan, what are your thoughts on that? The guy said, first of all, Juventus won today 4-0, I believe, so nothing's going on. But look, I wanted to hit on this. Clearly, banter that M is throwing. We haven't talked about the Serie A with this much excitement and since Maldini was playing, like B's favorite center back. You know what I'm saying? So to Josh's point, Khan, is this the best thing that happened in Serie A in a long time? Like those guys took 2 English guys and put them in Serie A, and now we're having a podcast topic about the Milan Derby.
Yeah, sir. It's about time Serie A has had some excitement. This is a league that historically has been nothing but, corruption, match fixing. They've been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons.
You don't waste no time.
Racism, abuse, all that. That's what we associate Serie A with. Runaway leagues, old man league, poor football, all of that. So it's good to finally have some quality football. They have players like Aaron Ramsey, Weston McKennie, Cristiano Ronaldo, Zlatan, Lukaku. They have top players there now, and we're also getting a good spectacle with WWE Zlatan versus Lukaku. So I'm all for it. Give me a reason to tune back into Serie A.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to ask you a question about is you're somewhat of a Juventus supporter when it comes to the Serie A because of your ties.
I disagree. I wouldn't say that.
Your family ties to Aaron Ramsey.
Better that than Arsenal.
Is a quarter Welsh.
I like good football.
I like good football. Pirlo, magnificent. Magnificent.
Great coach.
What do you call it?
Beautiful player.
What do you call it?
Maestro.
Maestro.
Absolutely.
Weston McKennie, man. I'll be honest. I didn't watch Schalke play, and the times that I did watch them play, it was a lot of side to side and backwards. But he's impressed since he's been at Juventus. I think he scored not in the last game, but the game before. What are your thoughts? Do you think he can sustain himself at that club?
Absolutely. He's legit for me. He's prototype box to box player. He looks rugged. He's got the skill, the technique. Physically, he looks like he could handle a full season. Not scared to tackle, can pick a pass, can get in the box, can score goals. To me, he looks like he has everything. He's American. And for me, I think he's the hope of American football moving forward. I think Christian Pulisic is a guy that gets a lot of the attention, but I think the real guys that really know ball know that Weston McKennie is the top American guy. And look at their club careers. One guy is modeling for GQ, the other guy is scoring goals and winning Coppa Italia. So Weston McKennie for me is legit. He's the future.
I think Christian Pulisic is like halfway to the scoring record for U.S. national team. This guy's talking about Weston McKennie's 2 goals for Juventus, but no problem.
Look, you see how funny it is? We are talking about how we don't normally talk about the Serie A, and now it's all coming back. It's coming back together, and now it's going to be more competitive, and we still end up taking a left and going back to the Premier League. Let me tell you guys something.
They hate this, bro.
Let me tell you guys something. There's nothing going on in Serie A. The only thing that we are talking, the only reason why it is in this podcast today is because we had Lukaku going up against Zlatan, and they headbutted each other. Like, there's nothing else going on. The 2-1, we didn't even talk about that. Juventus, they played Spal and gave them 4. That's the highlight of what we're talking about here, and how Weston McKennie is going to be compared. Let's take the left turn again, back to another team, a player that's in the Premier League. There's nothing going on, guys.
There's nothing going on, but let's be honest here. If we're looking at success in the Champions League, Juventus have been in and around that, quarterfinal, semifinal more than any English team has. So there's definitely talent in Italy. So I wouldn't take it away from Serie A. It is a boring league, though. I'll be honest with you, but I think it's getting better as they're getting more money and they're getting better managers, and arguably the greatest player of all time, Cristiano Ronaldo, is moving to the league. I think it's created a lot of marketing behind it.
Atalanta made waves last year in the Champions League too.
Atalanta, exactly. So yeah. So
I'm very curious
I think
to see what's going to happen with.
The trajectory is
I'm very
good for
curious
Serie A.
what's going to happen with Parma to see if they're going to make it out of relegation.
No, but you can't say that because
see who's going to be in top 5 to make it.
Like, yeah, I care about Leicester City. The only thing I know about Leicester City is that Ranieri used to coach there. That's it. So
Atalanta just sold their best player.
Who's that?
Atalanta just sold their best player, Papu Gomez. They sold him to
Yeah,
Sevilla.
But him and the manager didn't get along.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Atalanta just beat who did they just give 3-2? Was it Inter?
It was
AC.
it was AC Milan.
Yeah, they gave AC.
They didn't sell their best player. Duvan Zapata.
Well,
Duvan Zapata. You think is the best player?
Yeah,
they beat
he's a
Lazio.
monster.
They beat Lazio 3-2 today.
Yeah, Atalanta is they have a great balance, and they have that. What's the tall guy's name, guys? The tall, left-footed wizard. What's his name for Atalanta? You guys just said his name.
Zapata.
Duvan Zapata.
Zapata. Yeah,
The number 9.
Yeah. I mean, we played them twice in the Champions League. They're a tough matchup.
Tough matchup. So we got to give the respect to the Serie A deserves. And with that, we end a episode of the Soccer Family Podcast. I want to thank my fellow colleagues, Akan, Josh, and M for providing quality. Guys, again, it's a bunch of guys that are friends that that get along once a week and talk football. So please make sure to hit like on our Instagram, soccer.family.podcast, right, M? No,
I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'm kissing the crest. Yeah, we're at the Soccer Fam. Get us on our website at the Soccer Fam. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/thesoccerfamily. We have Instagram, the.soccer.family. What else? Yeah, you can just find us. Everything is on thesoccerfam.com.
Yes. So thank you again. Be safe and have a great weekend or a great week.
Later, guys.
Arsenal, you're dying this weekend. Just pray Luke Shaw don't start.
I just want to tie. I just want to tie.
Yeah.